I was born blind, and I had an incredible encounter with Jesus. I took some notes, and I gave them to my friend John, and he wrote a book about Jesus, and included my story in there. So, whoa, what the heck do I have in my hands?
Juicy.
Where did that from? I know.
Oh, it's from the pillar.
Oh, the wall. That's what happens when you can't see. Okay. Wow, I thought I had a plague for a second. So I took some notes, and what happened is, you probably heard about this last week, Jesus came, got some mud and everything put in my eyes, and told me to see, and all of a sudden I could see. Well, then the Pharisees, the religious leaders, found out about it, and they made me come in, and they started asking me questions. And matter of fact, they were arguing for a while. And because Jesus did this on the Sabbath, which was illegal. And all I know is I was blind, but I can see. But they were all over him about doing this on the Sabbath. And so they were saying, this man can't be from God since he does not observe the Sabbath. But how can a sinner give such wonderful signs as these others do? So they're arguing back and forth. And then they turned to me and said, what do you have to say about him? And I said, I think he's a prophet. I think he's sent from God. And their response was, they didn't even really believe that I'd been blind. They thought it was a trick. So you know what they did? They said, this can't, this Jesus is a fake. This is a trick. They went to his parents. Tell me about your son. He wasn't blind, was he? Yes, he was born blind. And how did he get to see? Well, we don't know. He's a grown up. Why don't you go ask him? And what happened was my mom and dad were afraid of getting kicked out of the synagogue if they had any allegiance to this guy Jesus, who I'd never even met before. And so they came back to me, and they started interrogating me like I was a criminal. And they said to me, they summoned me and said, you should give God the glory for what has happened to you. We know this Jesus is a sinner. Well, what I told him was, whether he's a sinner or not, I can't tell. But one thing I'm sure of, I was blind. But after I was with him, now I can see for the first time in my life. I can see people, I can see colors, I can see trees, I can see mountains. It's amazing. All I know, I was blind, but now I can see. But they said, what did he do to you? How did he do this? They were beside themselves. This can't be happening. No one can make anybody that's born blind see. And I said, well, I told you before, weren't you listening? Do you want to hear it again? Do you guys want to be his disciples? And man, did I touch a wrong nerve. They exploded in fury and said, they hissed at me actually, and said, you're his disciple. We're not his disciples. We're disciples of Moses. And at that point, my reply was kind of a lengthy reply, but I'll just sum it up for you. What I basically said was, now, here's a strange thing. You're saying the guy is evil. You're saying he broke the Sabbath. You're saying nobody can do this. All I know was, he made me see. Who has ever heard of someone born blind being able to have sight again? But this man did it. How can he be anyone else but someone sent from God? And at that point, they're still pretty angry. Oh God, yeah. One of them said this to me. It got in my face. I got like right here in my face. It says, "You misbegotten wretch." And they picked me up and threw me right out of the synagogue. So I'm there, I'm getting up, and dusting myself off, and all of a sudden I look up. Jesus, this guy that gave me my sight. And he started having a conversation with me. He said, do you believe in the Son of Man? And I said, well, who is he? Tell me so I can believe in him. You have seen him, replied Jesus, with your own eyes. It is the one who is talking to you now. And I got on my knees and I said, Lord, I do believe. And I worshiped him because I knew this man was sent from God and had the power of God. And then Jesus said, my coming into this world is itself a judgment. Those who cannot see have their eyes open, and those who think they can see become blind. Then came the religious leaders out of the synagogue again, and they said to Jesus, I think these religious leaders had a guilt complex. I mean, they said to Jesus, oh, so we're blind now? And this was Jesus' response. If you were blind, returned Jesus, nobody could blame you. But as you insist, we can see your guilt remains. My life was changed. What an incredible story. And two things I think I learned in this life-changing story with me about Jesus. Number one, if you have a disability and someone does not, it doesn't make the person with the ability closer to God at all. The person with the ability can be as far away from God as you can imagine. The person with a disability can be as close to God as you imagine. Jesus was saying, your disability does not leave you out in the cold about God. So all of us here are included, but he kind of went further than that. All of us, even people think we have ability, all of us have a disability. Jesus says it's sin. All of us have that, and all of us can qualify to receive God's love and forgiveness and to be included. All of us. So you know what that does? That puts us all on the same plane. There's no able-bodied and disabled. Not with Jesus. We're all in the family of God, and he gives us sight to see him who restores us. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.